Welcome back. I'm grateful that you have chosen to spend a little bit more time with me on this course. In the introductory module, we defined values. We identified the important values of the people that are most influential in our lives. We also looked at what you personally value from the values of those people who are most important in your life. In this module, we'll look at the segmentation of values. Remember in the previous module, we had looked at two types of values: terminal values or ends values, and instrumental values, or sometimes also referred to as means values, as defined by the sociologist Rockich. Terminal values or end values are the goals that we work towards. We view them as most desirable to us as individuals. However, they are emotional states that we'd like to achieve in our lives on a consistent basis. Some examples could be perhaps happiness, freedom, peacefulness, love, recognition. These are emotional states that give us fulfillment in our lives. On the other hand, instrumental values or means values are defined as the preferred method or behavior of achieving the terminal values. It's a little bit like strategy or a how to achieve the other value. We could look at these instrumental values like us being honesty, having ambition, belonging to a particular family, having money, and so on and so forth. This distinction is very important because if we pursue means values that are not related to any of our ends values, the emotional states that we would like to be in consistently, we may achieve the means values without having a sense of fulfillment. This could be absolutely frustrating to us as human beings. We could take perhaps an example of an institution, for instance, that in trying to woo members or customers promises certain benefits. Indeed, with the passage of time, the institution does gain the membership. Unfortunately, after a while, another institution sets up beside it and begins to give people better benefits than the original institution was giving. Every time a member or a customer talks about this new institution, the owners of the old institution feel a little bit threatened because they are wondering whether their members or customers are going to leave them. The old institution is left wondering why the members are leaving. They begin to experience dissatisfaction in the relationship. In other words, the benefits that they were giving were a means. The focus should have been on the end state, the need fulfillment. If they had focused on the need fulfillment, they would have found newer ways of fulfilling the needs, not only looking at the products or services that we're providing in the past. What we learn from this is that you can achieve a means value without getting fulfillment, without achieving your true desires. That could be extremely frustrating. But you could be wondering, but where do these values come from? This is what we're going to do next. The key to note is that we are not born with values. We acquire them as we grow. There are many tools and theories that we can use to understand the sources of our values. Some of these are by using Erikson's developmental stage theory, Freud's psychosexual stage theory, Kohlberg's stage theory, and others. However, in this course, we're going to use the values discovery stages as articulated by the sociologist Maurice Massey. He concluded that there were three key stages in the values acquisition process. Stage 1, which he called the imprint period, is from birth to 7 years. During this stage, sensitive learning occurs. It's independent of the consequences of the behavior. So children just absorb everything around them like a sponge absorbing water. They do not judge it, they do not analyze it. Stage 2, he called the modeling period, is from 8 years to about 13 years. In this stage, the children begin to depart from the familiar into the outside world for reference frames. So they now look not only to their parents and immediate family, but also to teachers at school, to the priests at church, to other children from other families and other people that they meet in the wider community. They begin to have heroes and heroines, and they try on values almost like the way people try on clothes in a shop to see which one fits better and feels comfortable. And they begin to absorb those ones that they feel comfortable about. The third major stage he called the socialization period, from 14 years to 21 years. During this period, the focus is on acquiring independent voices. Usually it's exhibited through rebellion of some kind. Children try to get away from the earlier programming that they had received within the family environment. They begin to value their peers and friends much more, and they begin to use them as reference frames, because they do the things that they like doing, they watch the movies that they like watching, they speak like them, they dress like them, so they're identifying with somebody other than their parents. During this period, there's that desire to be part of the cool crowd, and you find that even perhaps at school meetings, it's no longer cool to be seen with one's parents. It's much better to be seen with one's friends because they've got the same clothes, they speak the same way, and they have similar points for discussion. During this stage as well, media like television, radio, books and others begin to influence the lives of the young people because they show values similar to those of their peers. To conclude on this, most values are locked in by the end of 21 years unless what Massey calls significant emotional events occur, like perhaps a divorce of the parents, or a death in the family, or a significant health situation takes place in the lives of the children. Then the values that they had inculcated up to that particular time can also now be changed. However, beyond that, human beings continue to acquire more values, but the intensity is reduced unless they undergo a well-articulated values clarification training as you are doing. Massey summarizes these influences from life experiences from family, religion, peers, education, technology, and media. When we look at values, we have to bear in mind that we normally emulate the values of our heroes and heroines. If you can just go back to the key influential people in your life that we discussed in Module 1, you can see that some of their personal values are ruling your life today. Now let's go back and review the list of important things that you made from the people who influenced your life significantly. In your own words and in the definition that we've shared here, which of those items fit the description of terminal values and which ones fit the description of means values? I would like you to write this down. Also, look at the activities on which you spend more of your time, more of your money, and other resources. Take a piece of paper or go back to your notebook and make 3 columns. In column 1, list what activities you do spend more time on. Include the people that you spend this time with. In column 2, list all the activities that you spend the greatest proportion of your money, of your income on. Also, which people are you normally with when you're spending that money? In column 3, list other critical resources that you own. What do you spend them on? If you clearly look at these 3 columns, they'll show you the things that you currently value. I would like you to reflect on this question. Are these the things that you want to continue valuing as you go into the future? Take your time to answer this question. Think about it even when you go offline. For now, let us look at values identification. I would like you to go to the document that you downloaded at the beginning of the course. The first part on that document is a list of terminal values. Please add to that list any terminal values that you have identified from Module 1 and from this Module 2. Terminal values that are identified from the people who you admire and the way you spend your resources and your time and your money. Add them. Once you've done that, I would like you to tick 10 terminal values that you think are currently the most important in your life from the list. The new list that you would have made, the old list plus the ones that you've just added. To help in that exercise, ask yourself the following questions. Which of these values are important to me? Which do I want to guide me when I make decisions? Don't worry too much about the definitions. If they do not speak to you, redefine them so that they make sense to you as an individual. Remember, values are personal. They must speak to you as an individual. It is possible that 2 people can have the same value, the same terminal value, but depending on how they define it to make sense to them, there are certain things that they would do that are different. Let's look at a value, for instance, like creativity. For one person, it could mean fun or constant change. For another, it could mean maybe beauty or art. Now, if you look at 2 people like this, the things that they'll be doing in their lives will be different. The places that they'll be hanging out at will be totally different. The people that they'll be hanging around with will be different. That's what I'm talking about. Define these values so they speak to you as an individual. Now, let's look at the 20 terminal values or end values that you have selected for yourself. I would like you to reduce them by 50% so that you end up with 10. Ask yourselves deeply, which of these 20 really are important to me as a person? Which of them would you like to live in conformity with for the rest of your life? Make that selection and drop the other 10. Now I'd like you to take the 10 that are remaining and write them down in the space provided in the document that you downloaded. Look at that list again. Do you think that values are equal in their weight or in the manner that they affect our decision making in life? What happens if there's a conflict between one value and another? How do you make a decision to choose which one you're going to follow at that particular time? Thank God that values are not equal in weight. They do not influence our behavior in the same way or to the same extent. Otherwise, we'd be stuck in a state of indecision, not knowing which action to take first and which ones to follow. Or would blindly follow other people's priorities without knowing why we are following them. Our life, our work, our businesses could be chaotic. It would be difficult to grow a business, for instance, because we'll be failing to implement contracts, especially if the people that we deal with keep on changing what's important to them, which affects the terms in the contract document that we had signed earlier on. This relative difference is the bedrock of values clarification. It enables us to rank or prioritize our values, to show us that when we have a conflict, we can make a decision that aligns to the value that we value or we rank higher than the others. When that happens, we end up with what's referred to as a value system, which defines the relative importance of one value that we hold to another. Thus, every individual has what's referred to as the personal hierarchy of values. These are the emotional states that will do more, put more resources into, put more time into, put more money into in order to achieve. Remember when I asked you to choose from the list of the things that the people that influenced your life thought or you thought were important? That in itself was an exercise in values ranking. A values clarification exercise helps to put this in clear perspective. Please remember that values clarification takes time. It requires commitment. It is important for us to select values which enable us to be the best people that we're meant to be. Thus, the need to add or eliminate values to or from our lives in order to achieve what we set out to achieve in line with our life's purposes. I'm sure you have selected your top 10 values from the terminal values list. Congratulations! That's a very, very big step. There are people who live life, their whole lives, they've never undertaken this exercise. So you've done very well. Now please, list your 10 values in the space provided from the document that you downloaded earlier on. When I did this exercise the first time, my list had the following values: health and vitality, integrity, success, abundance, trust, recognition, love, personal power, excellence, and confidence. In Module 3, we will help you to rank the values and form your own values hierarchy. I am looking forward to that. Just always remember that there are two types of values: ends values and means values. Remember too that pursuing a means value or an instrumental value which is not related to any of your significant or most important terminal values or ends values will bring you frustration. You can achieve it, but still feel no sense of achievement. Thus, the importance of carrying out a values clarification exercise every few years for yourself. See you on the other side.